Well, hello, everybody. I am so excited to do this buyer appointment class today. I would be more thrilled if we had more people here. What's your name again?
Heidi.
Heidi is here with me, and I'm so excited. So just to get started and give you guys a little bit about me, and I'm sorry if I'm looking at the opposite side of the room. It's really hard to get adjusted to this Zoom thing and watching you guys on the TV versus looking at the camera. So bear with me. Oh, you're fine. Give me another reason to look elsewhere, huh? I am Portia Sharp. I have been in the business 4 years now. I'm gonna stand up, get some energy. I've been in the business 4 years now. I have worked with both buyers and sellers. I would say my business is about 50-50 buyer, seller. Most of my buyers are first-time home buyers. And a lot of those first-time home buyers happen to be single women, single moms. It just kind of happened like that. I think maybe because I'm a single mother and a single woman. So the first-time home buyers are just a little bit different than other buyers, as they don't know anything. But pretty much you get what you get, no matter what. Buyers come in all different shapes, sizes, and financial backgrounds. So I have just a little video that I made over the weekend. It's just a little fun video, and it'll show you pretty much what it's like to work with any buyer. And I don't know how many, I can't see most of you guys on the Zoom because you have your thing mute, your screen off. But I don't know how many people here have had their first transaction or worked with buyers before. Have you worked with buyers before? Is it fun or no?
Not particularly.
For me, my favorite part about working with the buyer is literally giving them the keys. So I'm not like the realtor that's all excited about what houses we see. I really don't care half the time about what house we see unless it's a house that I think is good for me and my kid. And I'm like, ooh, I want to see this or that. But for the most part, the most satisfying thing about working with buyers is giving them the keys and helping their dreams come true, especially if it's a first-time home buyer. So
You ready?
Yep. Sorry.
You're good.
So I made this fun little video to just kind of depict exactly what it's like working with a buyer. Now, this can be all buyers at some point in the transaction. Some buyers are really easy though, so don't let it scare you. I just wanted to poke fun, and I posted this on my Facebook, and I'm thinking to myself, I hope I didn't turn off any buyer clients, but they need to know what they act like. All right, so let's go ahead.
All right.
Working with buyers be like.
I always wanted a wall like this. I mean, look at the brick. And oh my gosh, the floors and the perfect windows. We have to get this house and have the 3-bedroom. Oh my God, look at this electric wall. I can just hug it. I want it for the rest of my life. Oh my God, seriously? This is it right here. Do you see this bathroom? I mean, we can even put his and her sinks in here. Are you kidding me? Portia, we really like the house, and we know we told you to put in an offer, but I don't know. I think it's just not gonna do it. So we just rather see more houses. I know you don't like my. Oh no, Mrs. Buyer, I'm really confused. I thought you loved the house. I thought you loved the brick wall and the flooring, and it has all of the bedrooms and the space that you need. It even has the yard space and it's in the neighborhood. You said it was the perfect house for you with all your needs. So, I'm really concerned. I don't mind taking you to see the other house. Okay, we have another one. We may not have all of the things that you said you wanted. My concern though is that in this market, houses are flying off the market within a day, and we really don't want to miss out on something that's perfect for you. So how about we go see the other decision by tonight and we get an offer? Okay? All right, Portia, Yes, okay, thanks so much for taking my call. I know it's a day and a half later, but listen, after seeing that other house last night and sleeping on it and going to work and just really talking to my friends and my husband and his mom and everybody about it, I think we're gonna go ahead and put an offer in on the first house that we've seen. Oh, no, not the very first house. The first house from, yeah, the one with the brick wall, the one that I love so much. Yeah, we're gonna put in an offer on that. And we want everything done. Like, we want new paint, we want a new roof, I mean, new floor, crack in the driveway needs to be fixed. Yeah, and all that. And we want $3,000 towards closing costs because my banker said that with a good realtor, we'll get closing costs paid. Okay, all right. So that's all I got. Let me know when you send over the offer and we'll sign it right away. I'm so excited. You're the best realtor ever. Okay, bye. Oh, you know what? I'm really sorry, Mrs. Barr. Remember that conversation that we had when I told you you'd need to make a decision by the end of the day or else the house could be gone? Yeah, well, it's gone. So maybe that house just wasn't for you. I know you loved it. But hey, I have another house here for you to see. I'm here now. It has some of the things you want and not want, like the other house, but I think it might be a decent fit for you and your family if you want to come check it out. Oh no, I mean, how could you even let this happen? What do you mean it's gone? I mean, what kind of realtor are you? I mean, oh my God, I can't even believe you. You know what? I think we just need to find a new realtor because we would let this happen and let a house get away. I mean, I told you I needed to think on it. Why didn't you just, you know what? Forget. I'll just meet you at the house that you have to show me today. And if this isn't a good house and we don't make an offer, we're okay. All right, I'll see you then. Bye. Hmm. I don't know if I really like the stairs, like right there by the door. It's pretty dark and gloomy in here. I don't know, babe. This might not be the house for us. I think we should go look. I mean, this kitchen is just so outdated, and I mean, it's really bad. Oh, but it does have open space, and I mean, the color of the wall matches my nails. So I don't know if we can do this. Well, I really don't know, babe. At this point, I don't even care. I'm tired of looking at houses. I mean, the walls look fine to me. I mean, I don't even really use the kitchen. Do they have a basement? All I care about is basement. Looks like it has good bones. How much did you say this house was again? 200,000. I mean, does it have a basement? Hey, it's got a basement. Let's just put in an offer. Mr. and Mrs. Fire, it has been a pleasure working with you. I'm so happy we could find your house to get you your keys today. Is there anything else that I can do for you besides relist this house again in the next 5 years?
All right, so, I mean, obviously, point being, guys only care about the basement. But you could do your best at trying to figure out what your buyer wants and showing them houses. You can show them
Hello from beautiful
one house.
Beechwood, Ohio. It is the most gorgeous day.
You can show them one house in strike gold. You can show them 49 houses and be fired 3 times in between, and it has happened to me. So the way to avoid this as best as you can, I'm going to share a few tips about your buyer appointment. Now, one thing I would like to say before we get into this is that all buyers don't look alike. Like I said, there are some buyers, they know what they want, they know how much they want to spend, they're easy peasy, they're ready to go. And then there are some buyers that really, really, really need your help. I know that we focus a lot on being listing based, which obviously listing based is definitely the way to go. But buyers can be very much so faster money in today's market, I don't know, listings are very fast. So buyers can very much be fast money, and they can very much be a good source of referrals because buyers typically are so happy about their new house. They want to post their new house. They want to, like, my realtor is so great. So buyers are definitely, um, good for business as well. But it's mostly about setting expectations for them and also getting to know them and getting personal with them. So if you have the time to nurture your buyers, it's better because then you can better service them. There are times where you won't have time to nurture your buyers because they will definitely be like a quick phone call. Hey, I got pre-approved. The last thing didn't work out. I'm ready to see this house. You jump in, you get them a house. By all means, if you get that call, you're probably going to skip the buyer's appointment. But at some point in that transaction, you do want to get personal with them, or else they won't remember your name after the sale. And so the first thing you want to do when you're working with a buyer is just get to know them. And again, especially if you have time. So you want to get to know them. And that includes a lot of things. Okay, so that includes their motivation. So you want to know why are they moving or why are they buying? Some people are moving, like I said, they're first time home buyers. They're tired of paying rent. They're tired of their landlords. They're tired of moving house to house, or they need more space for kids, family, whatever. Why are they buying, period? They may not even be someone that's looking to buy and move into a house themselves. They're looking to maybe be investors, owner occupied investors. If you know their motivation, much like any other thing that you do in this business, it'll be easier to kind of coax them into actually making the sale. Because when they have moments where they're being difficult clients, and I've had this where my buyer is being very difficult, you have to say, listen, I thought you wanted to get your kid out of this neighborhood because of all the bullying, or because, I thought you wanted to move your family into a bigger house so that you have room for you and your husband, to have some privacy. Or I thought you were investing because you wanted to build generational wealth. Well, if we don't pick the house, then you won't have anything to pass down to your kids. So knowing their motivation is what actually helps kind of push them into it. And then especially when you're at the point of an offer and they want to lowball on a price, then you have to say, well, how much is it worth it to get your kid out into a better school system? That also helps determine their time frame. And although their motivation and time frame can be different, like some people just are on a lease, they can't get out of the lease for another 6 months, that helps to add with their motivation and pushing them along. So I'll put time frame up there as well. Missing a shoe. So the time frame also helps you to determine how you want to deal with that client. So obviously, if I have a client, a buyer that is ready to move now, their lease is up in 2 months, and they are adamant about not re-signing a lease, then you want to start showing them houses now. You want to make sure they're pre-approved or they have their cash, and you want to get them out there on foot as soon as possible. Otherwise, if you sleep on them, they'll be calling the yard signs, or they'll be calling other realtors or whoever their family referred. And then if you have someone that's not ready to go for another 6 months to a year, you know that you just constantly stay in relationship with them. And that's your time to build that rapport and get to know them and let them get to know you, and just stay in front of them. The next thing you want to know about your buyer is their family dynamic and their future plans. This makes a world of difference for you to know, because somehow they don't always seem to know. I had a client before where she had 3 kids, single mom. She knew she wanted enough space for her kids. She knew she wanted a good school district, and her future is, well, she's got one getting ready to go to college, she's got one in high school or entering into high school, and then she's got one kid that's probably like in elementary school still. So in her family dynamic, number one, she needs enough space in this house because she still does have these three kids that, even though one's going to college, they'll probably be back and forth. So that kid needs their own space. Number two, her future plan, she's got this little one, and she needs that good school district to raise her kid in all this time. Well, if I hadn't have gotten to know her, when we were out looking at houses, you would have seen what she was willing to settle for, because her time frame was very short as she was getting out of the lease. So we're going to see all these houses, and the couple of houses that she picked were like 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, and I'm like, sweetie, it's 4 of you, right? So there's like 1 car garage, which is fine, whatever. And she's like, well, I can just turn the living room right here into a bedroom. I can put up curtains. I can do this and I can do that. I'm like, listen, I know your time frame. We have 3 months. Now, this was a little bit different of a market than it is today. This was probably like a year and a half, 2 years ago. I'm like, listen, you've got these 3 kids. I know you. We've built a rapport. We've talked. I know your family. This 3-bedroom house with you being in the kitchen, like literally off of the kitchen with the curtain, that's not going to be feasible for you and your kids for the next 15 to 30 years that you're paying mortgage. Let's calm down. We've got 3 months. Let's calm down. It takes a month to close. Let's find you a 4-bedroom house within your price range. I know we're looking for a diamond in the rough here, because you want to be in Lyndhurst, Mayfield area, but we can do it. We ended up, just by that conversation, she was very defeated, and buyers get defeated. It's like a roller coaster ride, and I tell my buyers all the time, this process is literally a roller coaster. You're up on a high when you're pre-approved and you're ready to look, then you start looking, and then you're at a low because you don't feel like you got what you want. Then you're at a high again because you found it, your offer is accepted. Then you've got inspections and all that to bring you back down. So it's a roller coaster. Anyway, we ended up finding her a 4-bedroom house. So enough space for all of the kids to have their own bedroom. It had a family room and a living room and the nice kitchen, huge backyard, and a nice sized basement that she has extra space, you know. When we were done, she was like, I can't believe that I was going to settle for like a 3-bedroom with little to nothing in the house, no yard, no anything. And we were able to get her settled in Lyndhurst. So it was a win. But if I hadn't listened to her and I hadn't had those conversations with her about who her family is and what her future plans are, I would have never known or been able to actually put her into something that she loves and is comfortable in. I hate putting someone in a house that I don't feel they're going to love for at least a few years to come. So family dynamic and future plans. All right, then you need to know, obviously, their finances and budget. Honestly, we can probably start with that. You want to start with pre-approved buyers, period. But if they're not pre-approved yet, or if they don't have the cash, then that's a conversation you have up front. How are you going to pay for this house? A lot of times you'll find that buyers aren't ready, don't come readily pre-approved, or they don't always have the cash. So you need to have that conversation as well. And here's where, if they have a longer time frame, or if they're not pre-approved, kind of works in your favor. Now you have the option to kind of get to know them through the process. You can refer them to your banker. You can refer them and talk to them about different finance options and really educate them. And if there's a longer time frame, this gives you the opportunity to build a rapport or a relationship with them too. But if you don't know what money is, you don't know. If you don't know how much money they have or what, even if they're pre-approved for 200 and they only want to spend 150, that's something you need to know. That way you can know where and have those realistic conversations. Go ahead.
Yeah, do you set the buyer's appointment if they're not pre-approved yet?
So here's how I handle it. I will talk to any buyer at any time, no matter what. If they're not pre-approved, if they are pre-approved. What I won't do though is go and show them any houses without a pre-approval or proof of cash. Also, you kind of get a feel for how serious they are when you're on the phone. If it's someone that's like, oh, and for those that didn't hear the question, she asked, would you ask again? I know that you asked it.
If you go to buyer appointments without them having.
Okay, do you go to buyer appointments without them being pre-approved? So typically, they're calling you, right? Or you're calling them. If you're doing your lead gen, you're calling them or they're calling you and it's a quick conversation. Hey, I'm looking to buy a house. Can you help me? Yes. Are you pre-approved for the house, for the home loan, or are you paying cash? Oh, well, I haven't got pre-approved yet, or I have cash, or I've just been working on my credit. So you kind of get a feel for where they are in the process there. If you understand by that first conversation that they're nowhere near ready, they're just working on their credit. Now your next step is, okay, well, this is kind of the minimum requirements to get pre-approved. So are you there? Have you checked your credit score? Yada, yada. Here's a credit repair specialist that you can talk to. Oh, you know your credit score is at a 720? Perfect. Here's a banker. Here's a lender. So you have those conversations on the phone. And then once you understand that they're really ready to go, now let's sit down and let's talk about the process and what I can do to help you and what you need. But I will talk to pretty much any buyer and you just kind of put them in categories. So that goes again with the time frame. You're waiting a year for them to fix their credit and get a loan. So over the year, you systematically talk to them, quarterly, monthly, whatever your system is. But then here's the thing, when a pre-approved buyer calls you or you call them and they're pre-approved today, I want to go look at houses today or within this week. And then there are times where you might get an opportunity time call and that buyer is pre-approved, they're ready to go. They've already been looking at houses, but they may have fired their realtor. And they mean business. Those you may not even have time to do an appointment. You just got to meet them at the house, jump in, get in where you fit in, and then, figure out a way to get these things in there in between. Then you want to know what the buyer already knows, because there are some buyers that know it all. Okay, you can't tell them anything. They've bought houses before, they've sold houses before, they can do this in their sleep, they should have been a realtor, and it's kind of like how you deal with them is you don't take a back seat, but you just kind of let them think that they have it all, right? And then as you go through the process, now you're giving them little nuggets here and there, or you're asking instead of telling, like, hey, do you know about the inspection process? Do you want an inspection? What type of inspections do you want? That conversation is different than, hey, so just so you know, we're going to have an inspection. The inspection's going to have this, that, and the third all over it, and this is your options. So you have the know-it-all buyer, and I've made the mistake, especially in the beginning of my career, assuming that buyers know, especially when I had first-time home buyers that have gone through the programs with their lenders, and they have like these classes that they take, and you assume, well, you've taken the class and your lender has explained it to you, and they know nothing. So find out where your buyer is in the process and find out how much they know about the process. So that gives you a leg up on where to really spend your time educating them. Okay, and then you need to find out what are their expectations of you. So like you've seen in that video, they expect you to make it happen, right? You can tell them you need to make a decision tonight or this house is going to be gone, and they won't make a decision tonight, but they're still expecting you to make it happen. They're expecting you to make sure that they still get that house. So check their expectations and figure out what their communication style is, how they prefer to be communicated with, what their schedule, what their work schedule is like, what their family schedule is like. Just know what their expectations of you are, so then you can address those ahead of time, or so that you can make sure you're meeting them if you can. The biggest thing after getting to know them, and like I said, getting to know them is really so that you can help them make the best decision possible, okay, and find them the best thing possible, is they need to get to know you. So for me, and I'm pretty sure like a lot of other people, you have a family, you have a life. This is also your career, you have other clients. Um, two misconceptions that people have about realtors is, number one, we don't work. Realtors just don't do anything. We're like at a bar at noon, which sometimes happens. Okay. We sleep in all day, which sometimes happens. But they think that we don't work. And then they also think that we are not people. We are just machines here to service them. So it's important that you let them know that you're a person, right? Like, I have a kid. I'm sorry, lady, but it's 7 o'clock. I'm feeding my kid. I don't want to talk to you about the 39th house we just seen. Furthermore, you need to know that I have other clients as well, and I can't drop the phone or drop my client to speak to you each and every time you call. But letting them know that you're a person is very important. So you tell them a little bit about yourself. So, hey, my name is Portia Sharp. I am a single mother of one son. We are into baseball, and he goes boxing, and we go camping once a year, whatever it is, to let them know what you are, who you are personally. It gives them a glimpse into, hey, she's more like me. She has a family, she has priorities, and I'm not just a robot. And then not only that, it lets them know that sometimes you might be unavailable for your family, just like they are. Then obviously you want to give them a bit of a resume, and I'm not talking about like, oh, well, I graduated from Bedford High School and yada yada. It's just, I've been in the business 4 years. I average about 15 houses per year. And this is, even if you don't have all that to give them, maybe a funny story or a fun story about what another buyer or another experience with another client was with you. So, like, hey, one time we had this argument between the buyer and the seller, and this is how I worked it out. So just to give them that sense of, you are a professional, you know what you're doing, and you've got it, right? And then you want to set expectations for them. So like I said, I'm a parent, okay? And if you have another job, you have a strict schedule that you work on, or even if you don't have another job and this is your sole job, you have a schedule, you have other things to tend to. So, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I am going to do everything I can to help you find a house. I am available Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then Mondays and Tuesdays, I'm available to 7 p.m. to show you houses. When I'm not available, I have a partner that will show you houses for me. Or, whatever it is, you set that expectation. After 7, I am with my family, and I hope that you can respect that. Or if you want to go see houses or have an appointment with me, anytime during the weekday after 5 p.m. or on the weekends, then you will have to understand that my kid has to come along with me. And if they cannot be reasonable or accept what you bring, then that is not the client for you. And it's hard to say that, especially when you're in the beginning of your career and you don't have a lot of business, but you will have a bad experience yourself, and that buyer will have a bad experience if you if they're not a good fit. If they can't understand that after 5, my son is coming with us, or on the weekend, my son is coming with us, and they don't like it, it'll just make for a bad experience and a bad review. So we get that out the way up front. They know they're good with it. We're good. We can rock and roll. I already said this. Make sure they know when you're available. Make sure you let them know your communication style. For me, I freaking suck at the voicemail. I don't know what it is. Do not leave me a voicemail. It's not. I haven't listened to it. Probably will never listen to it. So, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, if you call me, you don't get an answer, you probably should text me or email me. I'll get to you by the next morning if it's after 7 o'clock. So it's just really about knowing their expectations, knowing your expectations. That'll kind of get rid of the meet me here right now, because buyers tend to want you to come right here, right now. I had a buyer that literally fired me after I showed her every single day. I showed her houses. First of all, she was the list. She had a listing. I listed it. She didn't want to come down on the price at all. She's very difficult on the listing side. But then we had to find her a house on the other side. And she was very difficult on the other side as she didn't know what she wanted. Now, this person, she happened to be a single mom with one teenage son. And I don't think she really knew what she wanted. She just knew that she wanted to get to another neighborhood. I tried to find things about her house that she liked in our new house. And I tried to, talk to her about exactly what features, things like that she wants. We went to see literally probably about 50 houses, and I'm not even kidding. I set the expectations for my clients that I'm not going to go show you one house at a time. We will see at least 3 to 10 houses in one sitting. Because honestly, if you can get to 10 houses with one person, which I have in one day, you'll likely find that house that day and be done. But she wanted to see a house every single day. And it got to the point where we had no more houses to see. So now there's no 3 and 4 houses in an appointment. There's literally one house, one house, one house. The one day I told her, it was a Wednesday, and I said, hey, I'll see you on Friday. I have things to do Thursday. The next appointment is available Friday. And it's not my obligation to tell you what I have to do on Thursday. It's just, I'll see you Friday. Thursday, she called me. She said, let's go. I want to see this house. It just came on the market. I was like, hey, I told you I have to wait till Friday. Oh, she completely fired me after 49 houses. She called the person that referred her to me, fired me to them, told me how crappy I was. Then I found her. I was able to call that person and say, here, give her this other referral. Me and this person work out a commission fee. So the person called her, tried to get her to show. At this point, I was kind of pissed off because I spent all my time, and which is hard to not get your feelings involved sometimes. But I was pretty pissed off. So I called her and I'm like, listen, that's fine if you want to work with another realtor. With that's fine. We'll still go ahead and get this house sold for you. But I want you to know, I've done everything that I possibly could do for you. And I'm sorry, but I told you on Wednesday that I was not available Thursday. If you still want to go see the house Friday, great. I just need you to keep in mind that my schedule isn't always what you need it to be at that moment. And she's like, okay. And she rehired me. And then after about 10 more houses, we finally found her house and closed. Then I was the best realtor ever again. And then she's like, after that moment though, we had a very, very, very good rapport and relationship. But if I had set that expectation in the beginning, listen, I have other clients, I have a personal life, I'm available this, that day. But I think once you start off a situation where you're at their every beck and call from the beginning, they expect that the entire time. And especially when you don't have any, let's just be real. If you don't have any money, you're going to show up no matter what time of day it is. It's 11 o'clock p.m. I'm on the phone, right? But then after a while, it gets to beat you down and you get tired and you're just, all right. So once you get to know them and they get to know you, and again, this is not necessarily in any specific order because every situation is different. Every buyer comes to you from a different way. But it does help to have these things up front in your buyer appointment. And like I said, sometimes you're running out straight from the opportunity time call and you're like there at the house, may not have time to sit them down, but you should at least have those phone calls or something with them. You really want to set the expectations of the market. So you want to break down the market to them. Do I have any questions so far from everybody on Zoom land? I know me and Heidi are here like just.
They can unmute and you can hear them and talk to them.
Okay, feel free to unmute, ask a question, jump in at any time. So in this market today, especially, it's really important for you to let them know what's going on in the market and not assume that they know. Okay, so I've been in the business 4 years. My first and second year, I think the market was kind of like a stable market where buyers could ask for pretty much whatever they felt like asking, like you've seen in that video. I want the sellers to fix this and fix that, plus I want closing costs. That happens, and it's real. I have seen a seller literally turn their house from a boiler system into a complete HVAC thing where they installed new air ducts throughout the ceiling, furnace, everything, and still give closing costs. That is not where we are today. So you put out the expectations on what the market looks like. Find out, hey, have you seen what's been going on in the market recently? Chances are, if they're serious about buying a house, they've been watching. They've been seeing the new listings come up and come off within a day. They understand that that's real, but they don't understand what it looks like on our side of it, right? So explain the market. Hey, right now it's a seller's market. Right now, houses are really flying off the market within a day or two. We have to be aggressive in searching for the house. We have to be aggressive in our offers and explain to them what aggressive means. So aggressive means that we're going to have competitors on this house. This house is asking for $200,000. Are you willing to give the $200,000 or above? So when we find that house, you need to know how much it's worth to you and how bad do you want this house. And I literally have these conversations even when the market is not this good, this crazy. I'll tell my clients, number one, when we find your house, you're going to know it's your house because it's a feeling. It typically is. They typically walk in the front door, they haven't seen the whole house, and they know this is my house. So once you get that feeling, what are you going to do to make sure you get it? And you put that on their lap. Because it's not my decision. It's not my decision to spend your money. It's not my decision on if this house is yours. You need to know, is this your house? What is it worth to you? How badly are you willing to get this house? So I'll explain to them, houses are going $5,000 to $20,000 over asking price. You need to know what your minimum price for this house is and your maximum. And this is where your escalation clauses come in, and that's a whole nother day. But in this market, you kind of have to have an escalation clause. How much money do you have on cash over if this doesn't appraise? Are you willing to spend? We don't have time to think on it. While you're thinking on it, your house is going to be gone. I've had that conversation before this market go too. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I know that you love this house. I know that you want to take your time and think on it. And if that's what you really want to do, okay. However, while you're thinking about it, people are still looking at this house. And while you're still thinking about it and they're looking, they're writing offers, are you willing to let this house go just because? Just because you want to ask your parents? That's another reason to find out their dynamic and their family dynamic, because especially with the single women, they always, and first-time home buyers, they always want their parents or whomever to come check out the house before they make a decision. The parents and the family members and the friends and the coworkers always have something to say about the process, about how much they should be paying for it, about what's wrong with the house. And that conversation from you to your buyer is, look, they're not buying the house. The last time they bought a house was 20 years ago. It's not that same thing today. Okay, I'm your trusted realtor. I use that word a lot, like your trusted realtor, because it kind of like embeds the trust in them. But explain to them what market we're in, how the market is doing, what they should expect when they find that house, and then set that expectation that, look, if you're here just trying to throw out lowball offers, I'm not going to be the one that keeps writing the offers for you, because we're going to keep losing. And I'm not a loser. I'm a winner. So I want you to get this house. This is not the time where you write lowball offers, but explain to them too, in what situations can you offer less? Well, ma'am, you only have $150,000 to work with. You want to move to South Euclid, so here's our plan. The only way you're going to win with this $150,000 and spending less in South Euclid is if you look for a house that has been sitting on the market for a little while. Are you okay with a house that has everything that you need in it, but it may not be the brand new renovations that we're looking for? If that's the case, we look for a house that's been on the market just a little bit longer, that could use a little bit of sprucing up. You save some of your money, and then you go in there and you tailor the house to the way that you need it or the way that you want it. That's another part of setting expectations as well. And it's like, hey, we can look for everything you need, but you're gonna have to settle on something. Okay, you might get the 3-bedroom house with the 2-car garage and a finished basement, but it may not have the yard space that you want. It may not have all the windows you're looking for. You're gonna have to, and literally have this conversation, you have to figure out what is a need versus what is a want, versus what you are okay passing on and what you're not okay passing on. Some people are okay passing on the finished basement as long as they have yard space. So set that expectation, find out from them too what exactly their needs versus wants are. I literally take a piece of paper and draw a T-chart, need, want, and we go from there. And that kind of puts it in their mind too, that there is no literal perfect house unless you build it yourself. Then I like to touch on the process. Touching on the process of the entire from offer to close can be a bit boring. Like, right, you're just sitting there, you're like, this is what a home inspection is, and this is what happens after the home inspection, and then you have the appraisal, and this. So touch on it, but I have a little printout, and I'll send it to you all. I have a little printout. I either email it in PDF form, or I'll print it out and give it to them at the first meeting. I have definitions of everything. So appraisal, what is an appraisal? I have, what is an inspection? Who's responsible for it? I have I even detail what the documents mean and put that in there. Then I have another little thing where it says step by step, like a kind of a flow chart. This way you don't have to explain every single thing to them, but you want to let them know what's next all the time. So great. Once we get the offer accepted, you'll have to have your earnest money ready. This is what earnest money is. Then it goes to title. So you just kind of let them know what's next. You kind of touch a little bit on this is the process, and then you give them their own like follow along thing. Now, for those of that came about because I did have a client, and I didn't do this before, but I kind of thought I was telling her what was next, but she was like, "No, you didn't say that," or "No, I didn't understand that," or whatever. So it came to be very difficult because it began to be a battle of what I told her and what I didn't tell her. And at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm going to create this document and give it to everybody and stop wasting all my breath. The important thing is through the process, you just keep telling them what's next. But now I have a TC, transaction coordinator, who is very good and diligent at telling them what's next and explaining the process. But if anybody wants that printout, I'll definitely give it to them. But they're not going to remember all those details from your first appointment. So just mostly your first appointment should be like a date. You know, you're on a date, right? You're getting to know them. They're getting to know you. You're a good fit. I like you. I don't like you. I want to dump you. I do want, I want to keep you. Okay, I'll send a copy. So, but just because it's a first date doesn't mean you can't get funky on your first date and write an offer. So that's keep that in mind. So after you've gotten to know everybody, you're set your expectations, you know what they're looking for, they know that you're their realtor, you want to go ahead and start your home search. So how I do my home search, and every realtor is different. There are some realtors that get out there and they preview properties and they find the perfect houses for their clients. Their clients never even get a list of available properties, and it works. For me, I like to save my own time and energy, unless it's a certain type of client. Like I had a client that was $400,000 client. For that client, I for sure previewed some properties because they were for sure adamant about what they wanted, what they didn't want, and where. So I was like, okay, I'm not even taking him to a house that doesn't have granite countertops because he's not going to buy it. But for the most part, what I do is I sign up my clients on the MLS portal, and I'll set that expectation, and I'll say, hey, I'm going to set you up on my MLS portal. You're going to get a list every morning at 6 a.m. or somewhere around there that has a list of all the houses that are available, and it shows you what's new, what's sold, all that good stuff. Then I'll tell them, and this is where I've missed the mark a few times, you will likely see the house before I do. The reality of it is, folks, is that you have 1 million clients signed up on the MLS portal, and they are worked on, out of all areas. Some areas you don't even work in, because I'm sorry, but most of my business is done in Bedford Heights, Maple Heights, Warrensville Heights, South Euclid, Garfield. So I don't particularly know what's going on in Euclid, but I have clients that might be want to be in Euclid. I don't wake up at 6 a.m. and look at the MLS, but you wake up at 6 in the morning and see your emails. So I'll say you'll get this email list every day. When you see a house, now this is where your preferred communication comes in. When you see a house that you like, shoot me the address or press the heart button on the MLS, or take a screenshot and send it to me, whatever your preference is. Let them know. They'll probably see the house before you do. Go ahead, send it over to me. We'll schedule you an appointment. Okay, then I send them my Home Snap app, which we have a KW app. I'll be honest, sorry, Julia, I don't use the KW app. I probably need to just check it out because it's probably great, but I have not checked it out. But I use the Home Snap app. I send it to them through the text message. This is perfect for those people that love freaking Zillow. I don't know what it is about the buyers, but they always are on Zillow, Realtor.com, you name it, Trulia. Before I start sending the Home Snap app, I would send them the portal list from the MLS. And they would still be sending me freaking screenshots from Zillow. And I'd be like, dude, the house isn't even on the market anymore. And then they love the ones that are like pre-foreclosure. I'm like, this isn't even right. So the Home Snap app gives them the added little bonus of like kind of searching the internet, because that's what people like to do. They like to sit, I mean, come on, we're Facebook, Pinterest, Zillow, whatever. So the Home Snap app plus the MLS portal gives them a good list. And I also find that sometimes when they're on the Home Snap app, they find houses that are not in their email list. The email list from the MLS is very much set up for whatever you put into it. So if you put a house for 100 up to 100,000 in there, they're only getting up to 100,000. And if it's a house that maybe borders, let's just say they want to be in Richmond Heights, but it's Euclid. But if there's a house that has one zip code and one area code versus the other, you may miss that. But with the Home Snap app, they pretty much can do search by map, they can search by area, they can just zoom in, zoom out, whatever the case may be. They find a little bit more on the app. So you give them those two different ways to search, and they'll likely find their house on their own. I very much let my buyers kind of find their own house. But then let's just say they send me one or two listings that they're interested in. I'll take those one or two listings that they're interested in, I'll see what it looks like, I'll see what all the criteria is, and then I'll search the surrounding neighborhoods for a few more. Like, I never go show one house unless we've already seen 50. But that's just a waste of time. So give them those multiple ways to search, and then set expectations for that. Like I said, to let them know they'll likely find it before you find it. I think that's pretty much it for setting the expectations with them on who you are, on who they are, and what the process is and the home search is. The biggest thing after that is to know what to do when you're in the offer stage. Okay. In the offer stage, now I know in the beginning we've set the expectation that my office hours are from 9 to 5:30 or 9 to 7 or whatever it is. You have to let your clients know and hold true to it that no matter what time of day it is, if you want to put in an offer, we're going to get that offer in. That is the only time that I suggest you make yourself available. And here's how you know when it's that time. You just showed them houses today. They said, and we'll think about it. We'll probably write an offer. I just need to go home and call my bank or whatever the case may be. You say, okay, I know it's 7 o'clock, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. I'll let you go home. I'll be available till 11 o'clock. If you want to put in an offer, just text me or call me. Then and then once the offer gets accepted, whether it's that late or early, then you're able to communicate with them, our offer got accepted. After that, I'm back to my normal business hours. Because here's the reason why you do, I think it's pretty obvious, you do extend yourself and be available at any time for offers, is because your house can fly off the market literally at 11 p.m. And your buyer will not forgive you if you did not answer that phone at 10:30 and then at 11 they see the house went under contract. Other than that, nothing else is happening. Other than offers being sent and accepted, nothing else is happening literally after 5 o'clock anyway. There's no banks open, there's no title companies open, there's nothing you can do to service them besides write or receive an offer. Again, set expectations when they're writing an offer. What is your minimum? How bad do you want this house? What is your maximum? This is what you can expect. There's multiple offers. We probably won't hear back from this person until this time. I literally call the listing agent in front of my buyer while we're at the listing, and I will put that listing agent on speaker so that my buyers can hear them. And I'll say, hey, we just called to find out, are there any other offers on this property? Especially in today's market, it is very important you do this or you're wasting your time writing. I'll call the listing agent while we're in the house. Hey, I'm over here with my client. We just want to know if you have any offers. If the answer is no, okay, great. What is it that your client is looking for? What is the seller looking for? Sometimes the seller is more concerned about the closing date than they are about the actual net, but mostly they're worried about the net. It just depends on what that seller is looking for. You're gonna probably hear the cleanest offer more than once. And that means whoever's not asking for a lot, and especially means whoever doesn't have a ton of inspections checked off. So that's another conversation you have with a buyer. I never suggest people forego the inspection. Just an FYI. Always, always encourage getting an inspection. With investors, maybe not, because they, whatever. They're pretty much gonna redo the house anyway. But with home buyers, always do the inspections. Then after you call a listing agent, you figure out if they have multiple offers, you let them know you're in multiple offers, you have to bring your A game or we're gonna just walk away. Take a paper copy of your purchase agreement and the entire purchase agreement packet or checklist or whatever it is. To make it easier upon myself, I have every single thing that we need signed right then. Home warranty, purchase agreement, consumer guide, agency disclosure, every single thing that you need to turn in, get signed right then. So then you're not wasting your time running around through the transaction chasing paperwork. It's good to have a paper copy on you. Sometimes it doesn't work this way, but it's good to have a paper copy on you because when they're in that moment and they're in that house and they love this house, now's the time to get their signature. Otherwise, they walk out the door and they think about it, and then they see another house that pops up, and now they're all of a sudden interested in something else. Get it while the emotions are high, while they're excited about it, and get everything you need at once. And then obviously let them know what's next. The only thing that you might not have on you when you're there is the residential property disclosure and lead base. I don't suggest you go printing out residential property disclosures for every single house that you see, that you're gonna see today. So in that case, you send those to them after you have an accepted offer, or maybe once you get back home and you can send it over through .loop or DocuSign or whatever. Unless you like have a tiny printer in your car, then you can do that, but I don't. So once you get the accepted offer, or even once you put in the offer, you just always, always, always want to keep them informed on what's next. Hey, I just turned in your offer. Let them know when you submitted it, so they signed it. A lot of times I'll scan it right there in front of their face and I'll send it off right there in front of their face. If for some reason we have the .loop, because sometimes you just don't have time in between appointments to get that offer signed, or sometimes both parties aren't there and you have to .loop it or whatever the case may be, I'll have them .loop, sign, and then I'll send it off. And as soon as I press send, I'll text them and I'll say, hey, your offer was submitted. Here's what's next. We'll probably find out in the next day, or hey, it's 10 o'clock, I submitted your offer, I'll call the agent tomorrow morning and you should hear from me by noon as to if I have an answer or not. That's about it. Do I have any questions? I know that was a lot.
That was awesome.
I have a question. Just because I'm having issues with like setting up the buyer appointment. I think if I get it like someone calling me, they're like, well, I just want to see this house.
You're on the fly.
Yeah, can you walk me through like role play a little bit?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'll be honest, more often than not, I have on the fly people. When you have time to do all this, it's typically because you've nurtured that person before they even got pre-approved, or if they're not in a rush. More often than not, you'll get someone that's ready to go, especially if you're signed up for opportunity time, or especially if you like, I might host a Facebook event, webinar, or whatever you're doing, and you just meet someone on the fly and they're ready to go now. The biggest thing that I can tell you when you have an on the fly buyer is to set the expectation on the market. That's the absolute conversation that you never want to skip over. Um, when you're in that first house, let them look at the house before you lock up, or right after you lock up, or inside, outside, wherever you are. Have that conversation. Have you been looking at the market lately? What do you know about the market? In this sport, and then whatever they know or don't know, then you piggyback off of that. This is what we're dealing with. Right now, it's a hot market. It's a seller's market. You shouldn't go in asking for a lot or you won't get the house. This, you just have that conversation about the market and about the offers. After that, then you kind of start building the rest of that, especially if you don't write an offer on that first property. If you write an offer on that first property, great. Your next step is just letting them know what the next step is. What I will say though, that is not how you build a lasting customer and a referral partner customer, because they never got a chance to know you. But by all means, get your money. Follow up with them after, send a card. Just be as gracious as you can be to make sure they remember your name. But there's going to be a lot of times where you don't have time to do a buyer's appointment. I've only had a few times, if I can be honest, where I actually got to sit down with a buyer and have a full-on appointment. Most of what I share with you is done through just random phone conversations. When we go meet at houses and we're touring houses, I do not put anybody in my car or get in their cars. I always drive separately to appointments from house to house for several different reasons, obviously safety. But when you're at those houses and maybe in between each house, you just kind of naturally figure out who they are and tell them a bit about who you are. It happens naturally because they're going to conversate with you. It's not all just go in the house, look, and then okay, bye. It's like, well, I know I had this last client and we've seen this before, you know. The most important and biggest conversation is making sure they understand what they need to do to get the house that they want.
Are you like taking notes that say you just met them to pre-approve, you go show them a house? Do you like take notes while you're there, or like after you ask them a couple questions, then when you're done, you like go back and take notes later and put it, like, do you put it into command immediately for your notes on your clients?
So here's the thing about notes for me. I suck at writing as fast as it can come out. Okay. Most of the time I take mental note and I'm pretty good at remembering people's situations. When I'm prospecting or when they're on the phone with me, yes, I do put notes in command about their situation, or write it on paper. It's kind of like a buyer intake thing. When you're first on the phone with them, whether you have time to sit down and do an appointment, when you're first on the phone with them for the first 5 minutes, you're probably just intaking. How much money do you have? Where are you looking for? How many bedrooms, bathrooms, amenities do you want? You're going to figure that out ASAP. Why are you moving? ASAP. Those are things that you can have in a quick 2 to 5 minute conversation. Hey, just to let you know, within that couple minutes conversation, just to let you know, hey, I have a son on the evenings and weekends, he's coming with us. Is that okay with you? Okay, great. Just to let you know, I'm available this and that time. Is that good with you? Okay, great. All right, I'll meet you there. Just now we're there. How'd you like this house? Okay, we can go see a few other houses. I like to show you 10 houses at a time. Is that okay with you? Okay. By the way, have you seen what happened in the market? It doesn't always result in a sit down face to face or Zoom conversation before you start looking at houses. They may not ever even know that you have a personal life, depending on how fast they transact. So if they just called you and you had that quick 5-minute conversation, what are you looking for? Blah, blah, blah. All right, I'll meet you here. And that first house they made an offer, first of all, congratulations, you struck gold. Um, I don't know, it's just, it just kind of flows naturally. I wouldn't get too hung up on all these details. Um, in fact, I would say that about everything you do in this business, is don't get too hung up on everything being so systematic, because everybody is different. Every seller is different, every buyer is different. There's a lot about them that are all gonna be the same across the board. But if you get too hung up on, oh my God, I gotta take notes. Oh my God, I didn't tell them about this. Oh my God, I didn't tell them about that. You will literally drive yourself crazy. Just go with the flow. Just go with the flow. Get your most important things in there, which is basically what they need and how you can be communicated. Your expectations. But the pre-approval and the cash is pretty much all you need to keep on going. Like, are you pre-approved? Do you have cash? Are you ready? Yes or no? Boom. Even if you said nothing else, you'll still come out okay. But it does help to get to know them, especially for referral purposes. Any other questions from my people on Zoom or Heidi? What have you guys been seeing or dealing with the buyers in this market that maybe you found challenging? You might have any recent or have any buyer clients that are right now on your back, stressing out about?
I have a few, and one of them are family members who are also 8 months pregnant, so I'm dealing with all that.
Family's the worst.
But it's just like what they want doesn't exist, and I don't know how to tell that to them, and they're not on the same page about it. The mom and the dad, they're not on the same page.
Did you see that part in the video with the guy? He really just cares about the basement.
Yeah.
I've literally had most of the men like whatever she wants. There have been some situations where I've had the men and they are the boss and it doesn't matter what she wants. So you just kind of figure out who you're working with in the beginning. I will tell you, family is the hardest. A deal I just closed on Friday, both sides happen to be my family. This is the hardest transaction I've ever been through, and it should have been the easiest. The house was gorgeous. It was my parents' house who I listed. Okay, the buyer happened to be my cousin. The buyer wasn't even in the market to buy a house. She just seen me post the house up, and she's like, I want the house. We got her pre-approved. We were in multiples, of course. They gave it to her. My mom was literally arguing about everything, down to the refrigerator, down to the wash machine, down to, anything that she could have argued about, she did. My dad, on the other hand, was like, just sell it. I don't give a shit. Let's go. Like, we're out of here. It was a lot. But then the buyer, on the other hand, are they having it professionally clean? I want to negotiate. I don't want to pay this much for the refrigerator. It was a lot. So with your family, though, here's two things with your family. You can either be really, really blunt with them because they're still going to be your family no matter what, or you really have to try to just, depending on their personality style, the pregnant person might be like, you might have to coddle her a little bit. But I find with my family, like with my mom, I tried to be very understanding. I tried to be very soft with her. But then after a while, I was like, look, Mom, if you were any other seller, I would tell you to sell the fucking refrigerator and stop talking about it. Like, where are you lugging the refrigerator to? You know, I don't know, with your family is difficult, because it's really difficult. But what I'd say is just stand your ground. The people that don't know what they really want, all in all, and that don't exist, like the house, like you said, doesn't exist, then that's where you have to do the needs versus want. And that's where you have to set the expectation, like, look, we can find you something that has all of your needs. It has the bedrooms, it has the space, it has the garage, it's in the area you want your kids to be. Can you save up a few dollars and finish your basement later? And find out who's the one that's gonna be the decision maker overall, and kind of tailor it to them. So if you know the wife is the one that's gonna get her way, you might wanna talk to the husband and say, hey, this is what your wife wants. This is what we're working with. Maybe you should have that conversation with her about the middle ground. So just kind of see who the influencer is, basically. Kind of go there.
We have a question in the chat.
Yeah.
What do you do when a cash buyer will not get a proof of funds letter?
You can't put in an offer, period. First of all, a cash buyer, especially, they're typically investors. Am I right? Is this an investor?
That's Brian's question. You can unmute Brian if you can.
We're muted. Nope, can't hear you. There you
Okay,
go.
Portia, it's actually somebody that lives in a condo that they're going to sell it once they find something, but they're going to use cash to buy the new one-floor condo, but I can't get it through her head. I need a proof of fund.
Is she purchasing the new house with the cash she gets from the sale of the other house?
Well, she wants to take the cash out of her 401k and then replace it from the sale of the old condo.
Okay, so show me a copy of the 401k cash. So in this case, what I would do with her is I would here's a good thing for anybody, sellers, buyers alike, is put it back on them and put them in their own situation. So she's selling a house, right? Hey, Mrs. Seller, if Tom walks up to you with an offer for your house and he doesn't show you that he can actually afford the house with the proof of cash, would you take Tom's offer, or would you take Nancy's possibly lower offer, but she shows you that she's serious and she can actually afford the house? They'll have to think about that. Of course, she's going to take the offer that has the proof. So, okay, that is exactly why we need your proof. Without the proof of funds, they won't even look at or consider your offer. You might as well crumble it up and throw it in the trash.
Thanks, Portia. I didn't even think about putting it back on her.
Yeah.
Great answer.
Any other questions, funky situations? Another thing, I asked about the investor. Investors typically, especially if it's not their first investment, they typically know what it takes. A lot of agents will tell you, obviously be listing based, obviously work with buyers, kind of stay away from the investors for this, that, or the third reason. Investors are not loyal, they're not. They want to find the best deal, they want to find the quickest deal. However, buyers and investors alike are the quickest cash you'll come up on. So if you're new in business or slow in business, you always want to have a buyer or investor in your back pocket. Just don't get too emotionally invested in your investors.
So bringing up investors, I actually had an investor, it was a referral from another agent, and he had proof of funds or a pre-approval letter. And then we put in an offer, there was multiple offers, his got accepted, he's an out-of-town investor, and then he just never responded to me after that. Is that like normal
No.
when you're dealing with investor? Okay, I didn't know, like, how am I getting these?
That is someone that probably decided he didn't want that property because he probably found a better deal somewhere on something else.
Okay.
Could be. Let's just hope that it's that and not like he fell off the planet or like passed away or something. But no, typically people putting in offers respond. But with investors, like I said, they are looking for the best deal from whoever can bring it. So you can have them one day and they're all excited about whatever you guys are doing, and tonight someone might call them with a different deal and they're off to the races. And they don't care who gets it done or how. A buyer contract agreement, I will be honest, I do not use them. I don't know why, and every time I get burned, I definitely feel like I should use it. I have had a buyer literally work with this. She was also a single mother, first time home buyer. I worked with her for 2 freaking years. Okay. The first year, she was only like $50,000. Okay. She wanted to move out of a very bad neighborhood, her and her kids. We looked at house after house after house. At first, she looked at all type of houses that were above her price range. Actually, I think she started off at like 80,000 or whatever the case may be. She may have had a pre-approval for more, but she only wanted to spend 50. We looked at house after house after house. Most of them were like around 80,000 the first year. She just couldn't do it. I think it's just because of where she wanted her mortgage. Next year, call her back. Hey, how you doing? Let's go out. It's that time. Let's do it. Okay. House after house after house wasn't the one. Finally, she sees this house that she found on wherever the heck she found it. I keep trying to get an appointment for the house. Appointments are either ignored or declined. I'm calling the listing agent. Called the listing agent in front of her. Still couldn't get in the house. I called her a couple weeks later, and this is where I failed, probably because I let her go 2 weeks without looking. And I called her like maybe 2 weeks later, like, hey, I haven't heard from you. I want to get you back out looking at houses. Oh, I already bought a house. Well, what house did you buy? What do you mean? That one house that we couldn't get into. Well, what happened? Well, we couldn't get into it, so maybe a day or two later, I called the person on the sign, and they connected me with the agent. And I got in and I wrote the offer with that agent. So now this agent got a double-sided deal after I've been showing this lady houses for 2 years. So that is my lesson in signing the buyer agreement. Some agents charge their buyers a fee to go out and look at houses. I don't, but that's how he or some of them weed out the people that are serious and gonna buy with you. They make them pay their $200 fee up front, and it's non-refundable. That's up to you. I have always been, I guess, afraid to do that because I'm like, I don't want to charge people. But I see why people do it. Depending on how you present your buyer agreement is probably how you'll get your response. I don't know. In the time or two that I've pushed the buyer agreement on someone, I just wasn't comfortable. But what I will say is I'll set the expectation that I expect you to be loyal to me because I'm going to work hard for you. And that is something I talk to people about, especially if I have the time to sit down. Hey, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer or seller, I'm going to be doing everything I can to find you a house. What I want to know is that you're serious and that you're not working with any other realtors because I'm going to do my best at doing this for you. And anytime I'm not meeting your expectations, because let's be honest, we're human. We're not going to make everybody 100% happy, but let me know. All I ask is that you communicate that with me, and I'll be happy to connect you with someone if it doesn't work out. I typically don't have that negative part of the conversation unless I feel it going in that direction. Um, but I do set that expectation that I don't want to work for you this hard if you have other realtors. And with the investors, I would say definitely it's more important to get a buyer agreement with them, or some type of agreement with them, because investors will have you find them a house. I have had this happen. They'll have you find the house. You'll go in while they're doing the, look, there's John. He's one of them makes them give them gas money. I'm with it. I just want you to teach me that part.
I got you, Portia. It's all good.
So I've had investors that you'll find them this $30,000 house. Great. You go in then, you'll give them all your design tips and tricks. You'll talk to them the whole time, and then it's time to relist, and they relist with someone else because they had a cheaper commission. I don't negotiate my commission unless it's really that deep, depending on the price point or whatever. So they'll go with someone that'll charge them 5% on the listing side instead of my 7%. So it's important, I'll find you a house, but either you're paying me an extra commission up front for me finding you this house, or you're gonna agree that you're gonna relist it with me. So it's working with the buyers and especially the investors can be tricky depending on who you're dealing with. But that's just know who you're dealing with. I love the first time home buyers. Another thing is find out how much cash they really have. The worst thing you want to do is get to closing with first time home buyer and they don't have enough cash to close. Set that expectation, call their lender. I've called lenders before we roll an offer while I'm with the buyer and said, we need to know how much is the down payment for this, how much is their interest rate for this. It really helps. Really helps. How much cash are they going to need at closing? I literally will get a piece of paper. People love this. People use net sheets a lot. I do use net sheets, and net sheets for buyers. I don't know what is the net sheet for buyer called? Like a buyer estimate or something? Yeah, buyer estimate. I don't really do the estimate like the formal thing. I literally just get a scrap piece of paper and a pen and write it out. For some reason, the sellers and the buyers seem to love watching me write these numbers out. And I don't know what it is, but I'll do that right then, like just a sheet of paper. Again, don't feel like this is all in a box where you have to do all this stuff for each and every client and in the beginning. A lot of this stuff is just tailored to how it goes. You know, show up. The biggest thing is, do you have the money and are you going to show up? Quick cash. Today's market though, listings are quick cash because they're flying off the market. So literally you'll have it under contract within 2 days. But in a typical market, the buyers are the quicker cash. In a buyer's market at least, they're quicker cash. So if you need some money, go find a buyer or an investor or a renter. Renters aren't good money unless they're in a higher price point, but they're quick, very quick. Usually with a renter, you're probably looking at a 2-week turnaround. That's just my tip if you're like new, need some, especially if you're don't have any other source of income. Any other questions? And then don't get hung up if you have those those buyers that don't fit in your schedule. Find another agent. Find a showing agent or an agent that will just give you a referral fee. Some money is better than none. Anything else I can help anybody with? Well, I hope that I met or exceeded your expectations here. I know it's a lot of information. You can always feel free to reach out to me. I think if you dropped your email in there, then I can send you my little breakdown of all the definitions and stuff that I give to my buyers. If you have the resources to get a TC, I would say definitely do that. Because my TC is a lot better at keeping people informed than I am. She's very organized. She's very tell them what the next steps is. I'm very much a go, go, go person. So
I do have one more question.
Yeah.
Where were you at in your business when you ended up getting the TC?
honestly, I just got my TC probably about somewhere between 3 and 6 months ago.
Was it kind of like because of how many deals you were juggling that time? You're just like, I can't handle this. I
Yes.
need help.
What happened with me 4 years in, my first year, I was in college. I also have a newborn baby, and I also had a cleaning business. And I didn't have so much time to focus on real estate and get my deal count, if you will, for lack of a better term, up. I didn't have as many pending deals. I probably sold 8 houses my first year, maybe 10 houses my second year. In that case, I didn't have a whole lot of time because I had so much going on, but I did. It was easy to manage 8 clients in a year. Last year, I would have like 12 deals pending all at once, and I serviced them all myself. But I was over freaking whelmed, and I could which now I'm reaping the consequences of letting myself get so overwhelmed, because I pretty much just quit. Like, I didn't quit, but I was too overwhelmed and I couldn't, it was just too much. So now I'm focused on all of these 12 deals that I have pending. On top of the 12 deals that I have pending, I have buyers that I'm running all across the city, and I still have my kid, and I still have the cleaning business, and I stopped lead gen. I stopped with my lead gen. I stopped with everything because I couldn't. Like, I'm waking up in the morning, my phone is off the hook. I'm forgetting to tell people what the next steps are. I'm forgetting, it's just a lot. So once my business died down, I pretty much had the whole winter off, I'll be honest. And when I got ready to get back in the swing of things, I now realized I can't do this by myself. I wish that I had gotten a TC a lot sooner. I wish that I had just had that faith instead of the fear of paying someone $200 a transaction. I don't care how much business you have or don't have, that 200 transaction is worth it. It'll free up a lot of your time. I don't think that you have to wait until you get into 12. Like, I don't think there's a certain number that you have to wait to in order to get help. I think that when you know for sure that someone else will be better at this part than you, and you just do it, because it'll only motivate you to get more. And you're probably not going to miss that $200 unless it was like $1,000 deal, and then you still end up like after the split with your 640. But still, even at that, typically if it's that low of a deal, it's an investor and it's easy peasy anyway. It's just worth it. So I don't think you should wait necessarily. And I don't think there's a set place that you have to be before you get a TC. Probably read your MREA book, and don't listen to me on that part. But just personally, I wish I had done it a lot sooner than I did. I probably would have kept my momentum. It's a hard slap in the face to get more business than you can handle, but it's a good problem to have. But it's easier to come back from a $200 paying someone than it is to come back from where you stop lead gen and slow your business down. So I say, if you're at the point where you know someone can do this better than you, and you know that you're feeling slightly overwhelmed, do it. Start putting that in place before it's too late. The hardest part about finding the TC is not determining if you need one or not, it's finding the right one. Because I've had like 3 people before, well, 2 before the 3rd worked out. So, anything else?
I don't think so. All right, everyone, thank you so much.
Thank
Make
you,
sure to make your
guys.
calls today.
I'm always available. Just give me a holler.
Here, I'll put your phone number in the
Yeah.
chat.
216-6, what's my number? 216-659-1135. And then my email is psharp@kw. Feel free to email me, call me, text me if you have any questions, if you're working through difficult situations. I may not be the best at a lot of things, but I think I'm pretty good at working through some difficult conversations.
Absolutely.
Scripts. Believe it or not, some of the seller scripts kind of help on your buyers.
Yeah.
Those objections.
All right, everyone. See ya.
Bye.